moving from football being my God and everything that I kind of was working towards, and that being like my real focal point in life, and kind of like worshiping that, to God being my focal point, and wanting to just worship him, and what does it mean to actually follow God. That shift came through a couple of different stages that I can think about right now. When I had this football scholarship to play at a school in around Baltimore area, in Towson University, and being approached by my parish priest one day after mass, he approached me and said, "Hey, what do you want to do after you graduate high school? You're a senior now. Like, what are your plans?" And I told him about the scholarship, and he said, "Oh, that's awesome." And he said, "Well, what do you think about seminary?" And I said, "Well, I don't have too many thoughts about that. I don't even know what that is." And he said, "Oh, it's a place where men can go study and be priests." And I said, "Oh, no, thanks. You don't got to worry about me. I'm on my journey, my path. This is what I want to do with my life." Like football is going to be my ticket out, because where I'm from is a place where you are either doing agriculture, you're either in the military and you're naval base, or you're a waterman or something like that. And to get out of that town, I wanted to figure out, how to make a good living, for my life. And what is that going to be? Like, what's that path? What's that avenue? So I thought football, maybe going to the NFL and being a millionaire. And, and so when I got that look and that offer, hearing this priest coming to me saying, "Well, what about seminary?" I'm like, "You're getting in the way of all of that right now. And I don't need you getting in the way of that, because I have a plan for my life that I want to stick to. Because you're not going to help me, make a living and this, that, and the third." And so he said, "How about you pray about it? The idea of going to seminary and being a priest." And I said, "How about I sleep on it?" And so that night I had this dream. And in this dream, I was in this long line of Little League football. And this line led up to this huge castle. And I'm in line as big as I was, and I had no equipment on or nothing like that. And all these kids, they had on equipment. And so leading up to that castle, walk inside, and there's a table, and sitting in the middle of this table is this bishop. And on the other side of the bishop are these priests, and they motion me to step forward. And so I do. And they slide me a sheet of paper and they hand me a pen. And so I start signing away. And I give it back to them, and I say, "You're welcome." And they take out this huge stamp. All a dream. This is all a dream. They take out this huge stamp and they stamp it, and they say, "Congratulations, now you're a priest." And they give me like books and sweaters and stuff. And they say, "Your locker's down to the left. Have a nice day." And I'm like, "Well, this is weird. I don't know what's going on." I didn't even do seminary. That couldn't have been seminary. Like, I was just in a line. And so I take my things, I find my locker, put these items inside my locker, slam it shut, and then I'll wake up. And so from there, I said, well, the day I become a priest is the day I become terrible at basketball, which I only played football for 1 year, and I was able to get this scholarship. And so to me, I was a really big deal. And to a lot of other people, I was a big deal too. And I said to myself, there's no way I'll be terrible at football because of what I accomplished. And so if anything, maybe basketball. And so it was so crazy, because the next night I had another dream, and I was playing basketball, and it was like an NBA style arena, and I missed every single shot during this dream. And so waking up from that and going through a bit of a discernment process of, well, what just happened there? Like, God, are you calling me to be a priest, or did I just have like Taco Bell late night and forgot that, and then just having some weird dreams or something like that? Like, I don't know, but I took some time to really kind of pray about it and discern it. And at the end of that time of trying to make a decision on whether or not God is calling me to seminary and maybe be a priest, and or that was just a weird dream. It took place by looking at this crucifix in my room that I have, and looking at this crucifix, I just didn't understand it. Like, I had all my sacraments of initiation at the time, and just staring at this crucifix, I was like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. Like, they people say that this Jesus God man died for me to have life, but I don't know. I've never really truly understood it. But at the same time, I've never heard anybody refute it. So it must be true. So since this Jesus God man died for me to have life, then I might as well give him the first shot at my life to see what it is that he wants me to do. And so that was the first point, really, of kind of like taking a step away from football being my God and more God being my God. Another bit of an insight in looking into it is I took that dream and I kind of tried to like decipher it a little bit. I'm like, well, what was that all about? You know, while I was already in seminary. So I actually ended up going to seminary. And when I was there, I kind of like dialed back to those dreams, and I was like, what happened there? Like, what was that? And I kind of looked at scripture, and there's a passage of Jesus when he's walking on water, and he calls Peter to walk on water as well. And so I took that and I kind of put it as a mirror image to those dreams. And so in my dream, this castle was massive, and I think it was supposed to be the kingdom of God. That's what I really think that God was trying to convey to me through these dreams, is that this is the kingdom and this is heavenly things in general. And football, as it being worldly things, is so small. And if I'm looking down at football and if I'm looking at worldly things, then I'm going to sink. Similar to how Peter, if he didn't have his eyes fixated on Christ, he wasn't going to continue to walk and stay afloat literally on the water. And so as long as I kept my eye in the dream, as long as I kept my eyes fixated on the king, on that castle, the line sped up, and it was through mountains, hills, and valleys. And so I think it was like a bit of a journey. When I was in the seminary, I kind of still kept that ego about me, about like, I had a full ride scholarship and here I am amongst you people, you know, you should thank me actually for accepting this. And so I kept a football on my shelf, and it was the highest thing in my room. And I had those little Burger King hats that you get from when you go back in the day. I don't know if they still have these now, but it was like a crown. These are like fake paper crowns. But it looked like royalty, you know? So I remember going to Burger King and I took one and I wore it. It was a joke, whatever. But then when I got back to my room in seminary, I put it on top of the football because it's like, well, I'm the king of this. And this is what I actually still value more than God. And so I remember one day we were playing flag football. We had like an intramural team, and I was not the wide receiver. I was covering another guy who was going to catch the ball. And I remember I was running, and for whatever reason, I looked towards where the football was coming from. And before I could have a chance to react, it hit me right in the eye. And then I had to get 3 surgeries from it and all these things. And it was a lot. And it taught me about suffering. And it was really a check to my pride of, are you still treating football as your God? You know, I think in that moment, God allowed that to happen because he knew my growth was being so stunted from being able to go closer and closer to him. And so he allowed that moment to happen so I could realize that, like, God is number one. You know, I'm worshiping a golden calf. Like, what am I doing here? You know, I should be having my eyes on the prize with him. I'm literally living in a house where he is present. And so, that was after that, I was like, let me take this crown off, and actually the football can come down too. My time in seminary was amazing. I ended up discerning out, but throughout that time in seminary, I had so many life lessons that I was able to gain, great friendships. I was able to learn a good bit about virtue, what it means to pray, and in a lot of ways, what it means to be a man. And I took that with me, you know, and I still have it, still hold on to some of those values that I was able to gain during my time in seminary. And so it was just it was great because now I'm married and I have one kid and another one on the way, and there's so much in seminary that is amazing. And that just like is universal for all men to be able to know. And I'm so gracious that I had an opportunity to benefit from that.